They say the past never dies. It just waits, hiding in the shadows of your memory, patient as a predator, until the perfect moment to return and destroy everything you've built. I thought I'd escaped mine. The girl who was bullied until she couldn't breathe. The teenager abandoned by the boy who promised forever. The mother who raised a son alone while the world bet against her. I clawed my way out of that life. Built an empire. Raised a brilliant man. Became someone who mattered. But the past doesn't care about empires. Because one Sunday evening, my son, my beautiful, successful, 19-year-old son, rang the doorbell with the woman he wanted to marry. And when I opened that door, I saw her. Auburn hair, familiar smile, eyes I hadn't looked into in 20 years. Anna McCoy. My name is Marsha F. Dennard. And this is the story of how my past came back, not to haunt me, but to shatter every wall I'd built between who I was and who I'd become. 1979, Roosevelt High School. Let me paint you a picture of hell dressed in hallways and lockers. I was 17 years old. Black. Poor. Wearing thrift store clothes in a school where your worth was calculated by the price tag on your designer jeans and the color of your skin. I didn't belong there. Everyone knew it. I knew it most of all. The popular girls, blonde hair, perfect teeth, families with country club memberships. They had a particular talent for making me disappear while simultaneously ensuring I felt every second of my invisibility. They'd bump into me without apology, their Gucci bags swinging into my shoulder like weapons. They'd knock my books from my hands in crowded hallways, then laugh as I scrambled to pick them up while feet kicked them further away. They'd whisper when I walked past, loud enough for me to hear, quiet enough to maintain plausible deniability. Did you see what she's wearing? I heard her mom cleans houses. Why is she even here? Every day was survival. Every morning I'd wake up with my stomach in knots, dreading the moment I'd have to walk through those doors. Every night I'd cry into my pillow, wondering why I wasn't pretty enough, rich enough, white enough to just exist without it being a problem. Lunch was the worst. That cafeteria, bright fluorescent lights, the smell of institutional food, tables arranged like a social hierarchy made visible, was my daily torture chamber. I'd sit at the corner table, the one near the bathrooms where nobody wanted to be, where the outcasts and the forgotten collected like dust. I'd unwrap whatever sad sandwich I'd made that morning, usually peanut butter and jelly, sometimes just butter if money was tight, and I'd eat slowly, making it last, because eating meant I had something to do with my hands instead of sitting there looking as pathetic as I felt. I'd keep my head down, make myself small, pray they'd forget I existed. But they never did. Then one Tuesday in October, everything changed. I was picking at my sandwich. The bread was stale. I remember that detail for some reason, when a shadow fell across my table. I looked up, and there she was, Anna McCoy. Auburn hair that caught the afternoon light streaming through the cafeteria windows, turning it copper and gold. A face that belonged in magazines. High cheekbones, clear skin, the kind of beauty that seemed effortless. Clothes that probably cost more than my family's rent. And behind her, visible at the popular table across the room, her friends were staring, whispering, wondering what the hell she was doing. My heart dropped into my stomach. This was it. Whatever new humiliation they'd devised, she was here to deliver it. Go to your rich friends, I said, my voice harder than I felt, wrapped in every defensive wall I'd learned to build. I don't want trouble. But Anna didn't leave. She sat down, right there, across from me, at the loser table near the bathrooms. And for the first time, I saw something in her blue eyes I hadn't expected.
Shame.
I want to apologize, she said softly, her voice almost lost in the cafeteria noise. For my friends. For everything they've done to you. For everything I didn't stop them from doing. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. I'm not happy about it, she continued, her hands folded on the table like she was in church confessing sins. I never was. I was just too much of a coward to say anything. But I'm saying it now. I'm sorry. And I want to be friends. Real friends. I didn't believe her. How could I? Girls like Anna didn't just decide to be friends with girls like me. It didn't happen. It was against the natural order of high school social hierarchy. This had to be a trick. Another layer to the cruelty. Maybe they'd film her being nice to me, then play it back at some party while everyone laughed at the pathetic black girl who actually thought she could be friends with Anna McCoy. Why? I asked, suspicion dripping from every letter. She looked down at her hands. Because it's the right thing to do. Because I'm tired of being someone I'm not proud of. Because she met my eyes. Because you deserve better. And honestly, I think I do too. So, I waited for the trick to reveal itself. But Anna kept showing up. Day after day after day. She'd sit with me at lunch, ignoring the increasingly hostile stares from her former table. She'd walk with me in the hallways, her presence like a force field that made the others hesitate before their usual torments. She defended me, out loud, to their faces. Leave her alone. I heard her say once to Brittany Henderson, the queen bee who'd made my freshman year a living nightmare. Seriously, find something better to do with your life. Brittany had looked shocked, then furious, then most satisfying of all, embarrassed. Slowly, impossibly, I started to believe her. Anna McCoy became my best friend. She invited me to her house, a mansion that made me feel like I'd stepped onto a movie set. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, a kitchen bigger than my entire apartment. Her parents were kind but distant, the way rich people often are, polite but clearly uncomfortable with their daughter befriending the poor black girl from across town. But Anna didn't care. We'd studied together in her enormous bedroom, her helping me with English lit, me helping her with math. Turned out the rich girl was terrible with numbers. We'd talk for hours about everything, our dreams, our fears, the boys we liked, the future we hoped for. She told me about the pressure she felt to be perfect, to maintain appearances, to marry the right kind of man and have the right kind of life. I told her about the pressure I felt to just survive, to make it to graduation, to prove I was more than what everyone assumed about girls who looked like me. For the first time in high school, life felt beautiful. I wasn't alone anymore. I had a friend, a real friend, someone who saw me, not my poverty, not my skin color, not my circumstances, just me. Anna made Roosevelt high bearable. She made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I deserved good things too. Summer 1979. His name was Vernon Logan. And God, he was beautiful in that dangerous way that 17-year-old girls mistake for love. He lived 3 blocks from my apartment, in the same struggling neighborhood where dreams went to die and corner stores sold more lottery tickets than hope. But Vernon had this smile, this confidence, this way of looking at you like you were the only person in the world who mattered. He was 19, worked at his uncle's auto shop, had plans, big plans, to save up and open his own garage someday. I met him at a neighborhood cookout in July. He was manning the grill, laughing with his cousins, and when he caught me staring, he winked. Actually winked. Like we were in some romantic movie instead of a struggling black neighborhood where most love stories ended in heartbreak. We started talking. He'd walk me home from my summer job at the grocery store. We'd sit on my building's front steps until midnight, talking about everything and nothing. He told me I was beautiful, not in that leering way that made my skin crawl, but sincere, like he was just stating a fact. He told me I was smart, that I was going places, that girls like me, strong, determined, fighting against everything, were going to change the world. I fell for him hard and fast. By August, I was in love. Vernon made me feel seen. Not invisible. Not less than. Not like the girl everyone forgot existed. He made me feel worthy. Beautiful. Special. Anna warned me. Be careful, Marsha. Guys that smooth. They know exactly what to say. But I didn't listen. Because for the first time in my life, someone wanted me. Chose me. Made me feel like I mattered beyond just surviving. It was a lovely summer. Stolen kisses behind the corner store. Late-night phone calls that lasted until my mother yelled at me to hang up. Promises whispered in the dark about our future. Him with his garage, me with my college degree. Both of us proving that kids from the neighborhood could make it. A lovely relationship. Until September. Until I missed my period. Until the pregnancy test showed 2 pink lines that destroyed every plan I'd ever made. I told Vernon on a Friday evening. We were sitting on those same front steps where he'd first told me I was beautiful, and my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the positive test. I'm pregnant, I whispered. I watched his face change. The smile died first. Then the warmth in his eyes. Then the confident posture that had made me feel safe collapsed into something that looked like panic. You're sure? He asked, his voice hollow. I'm sure. Silence. Long and suffocating. Then, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Not what are we going to do? Not we'll figure this out together. What are you going to do? Like it was my problem. My mistake. My burden to carry alone. I don't know. I admitted, tears already streaming down my face. But we'll figure it out, right? Together? He stood up. I need to think. That was the last real conversation we had. Within a week, Vernon became a ghost. His phone number disconnected. His uncle's auto shop, he doesn't work here anymore. His apartment empty. Moved out. Gone. I'd walk past his building every day after school, hoping to see him. Hoping he'd come back. Hoping the boy who'd promised me the world would at least have the decency to face me. But Vernon Logan vanished like smoke. And I was left holding the consequences of our lovely summer alone. I told my parents on a Sunday. Sunday dinner. The one meal where we all sat together as a family, pretending we were closer than we actually were. My mother was serving collard greens. My father was complaining about his shift at the factory. My younger brother was kicking me under the table, oblivious. And I was gathering every ounce of courage to destroy their image of me forever. I'm pregnant. I blurted out, the words tumbling over each other. The room went silent. My mother's serving spoon clattered against the pot. My father's fork froze halfway to his mouth. My brother looked confused, then excited. I'm gonna be an uncle? Until my father's glare silenced him. My mother spoke first. You're what? Pregnant. I'm pregnant. Where is he? My father's voice was deadly quiet. The kind of quiet that scared me more than yelling. Where's the boy? He left. He's gone. My mother sat down heavily, her hand over her mouth, and I watched something break in her eyes. Disappointment. Shame. The realization that her daughter, the one who was supposed to get out, to make it, to prove the neighborhood wrong, had become another statistic. 17 and pregnant. Baby daddy nowhere to be found. Another young black girl whose future just evaporated. How could you be so stupid? My mother whispered. And those words, more than Vernon leaving, more than the positive test, more than everything, those words shattered something inside me that never fully healed. My father didn't speak to me for 3 days. When he finally did, his voice was flat, emotionless. You'll have the baby. No discussions. No alternatives. This family doesn't take the easy way out. So that was decided. I stopped going to school. The shame was too heavy to carry through those hallways again, past the girls who'd already made my life hell, with a growing belly advertising my mistake for everyone to mock. Anna called, came by, left messages. But I couldn't face her. Couldn't face the girl with the perfect life and the bright future while mine was imploding. Eventually, she stopped trying. And I was alone again. November 1979. My parents sent me away. Fresh start. My mother called it, though her tone made it clear this was exile, not opportunity. My Aunt Rita lived 3 hours away in a city I'd never visited. She'd agreed to take me in, help with the baby, give me a place to hide my shame from the neighbors who'd watched me grow up. I packed a single suitcase, took a Greyhound bus alone, arrived at my aunt's small apartment, and realized this was my life now. 17. Pregnant. Abandoned by everyone who mattered. Aunt Rita was kind, not warm. She was my mother's sister, after all, and practical coldness ran in the family, but kind in that no-nonsense way that some black women master. You made a mistake, she told me my first night there, but it's not the end of your life unless you let it be. So you're going to work. You're going to finish school. You're going to raise this baby right. Understand? I nodded, too numb to argue. So I worked. Whatever jobs would hire a visibly pregnant teenager. Cleaning houses like my mother, stocking shelves at a convenience store, waitressing at a diner where the cook pitted me enough to sneak me extra food. My feet swelled, my back ached, my belly grew impossible to hide. And every night, I'd lie in my aunt's guest room, one hand on my stomach and wonder, what kind of mother was I going to be? How could I raise a child when I was barely more than a child myself? What had I done to deserve this? June 12, 1980. 3:47 a.m. The pain woke me like a knife. I stumbled out of bed, clutching my stomach, and screamed for my aunt. She drove me to the county hospital, the one where they treated you based on your insurance, which meant I got the overworked residents and the ancient equipment. Labor lasted 14 hours. 14 hours of pain I couldn't have imagined. 14 hours of nurses telling me to breathe through it, while I bit down on towels to keep from screaming. 14 hours of wondering if Vernon was thinking about me, if he knew, if he cared. At 5:33 p.m., my son entered the world. Screaming, red-faced. Perfect. They placed him on my chest, this tiny human who was part of me, and I looked into his scrunched-up face and felt something shift in my soul. This wasn't a mistake. This was my son. His name is Leroy, I whispered, after my grandfather, the only man in my family who'd ever told me I was smart enough for college. Leroy F. Dennard, my boy. And in that hospital room, holding my hours-old son, I made a promise. Nothing would stop me. Not poverty. Not shame. Not statistics. Not people's expectations. I was going to give this child everything Vernon's absence stole from him. I was going to prove that teenage mothers could make it. I was going to show my son that he was worth every sacrifice. I was going to be enough for both of us. The next 18 years passed in a blur of exhaustion and determination. Let me summarize what it's like to raise a child alone while building a life from nothing. You don't sleep. You work 3 jobs, daycare worker in the morning, waitress at lunch, night classes for your GED in the evening, studying after your baby finally falls asleep at midnight. You eat ramen and canned soup and whatever free food you can get from your jobs. You wear thrift store clothes until they literally fall apart. You cry in bathroom stalls during your 15-minute breaks because you're so tired you can barely stand. But you keep going. Because that little boy, Leroy, with his bright eyes and easy smile and way of making everything feel worthwhile, he's watching you, learning from you, believing that whatever you're doing must be right because you're his whole world. I finished my GED, then community college, taking classes part-time while Leroy was in school, studying while he did his homework, both of us at the kitchen table chasing our separate dreams. Then university, a scholarship, financial aid, loans I'd be paying off forever, but I didn't care. I graduated with honors. Bachelor's degree in business. 28 years old. Single mother. Against all odds. Leroy was 8 when I graduated. He sat in that auditorium in a little suit Aunt Rita bought him, and when they called my name, he stood up and screamed, That's my MO, with so much pride that the entire audience laughed and applauded. I cried walking across that stage. Not pretty tears. The ugly, soul-shaking sobs of a woman who'd survived. I started in real estate by accident. A friend from church mentioned her boss was hiring, and I showed up to the interview not knowing anything about the industry beyond people buy houses. But I learned. God, did I learn. I worked harder than anyone else. Longer hours. More showings. Cold calls until my voice went hoarse. Networking events where I was usually the only black woman in the room. I studied market trends obsessively. Memorized neighborhood statistics. Built relationships with mortgage brokers, inspectors, contractors, anyone who could help me close deals. And I sold. First 1 house. Then 5. Then 20 in a year. The commissions grew. The reputation grew. The opportunities grew. By the time Leroy was 12, I could afford to move us out of Aunt Rita's apartment and into our own place. By the time he was 15, I was a senior agent at one of LA's top firms. By the time he was 16, I bought us a house. Not an apartment. Not a rental. A house. My house. 4 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms. A backyard. A 2-car garage. In a neighborhood where people like me weren't supposed to live. I stood in the empty living room the day we got the keys, and I sobbed. Leroy, 16, nearly 6 feet tall, my beautiful boy, hugged me and whispered, "You did it, Mom. You really did it." No, I corrected him. We did it. Because everything I'd achieved was for him. To prove to him that circumstances don't define you. That hard work matters. That being a statistic is a choice, not a destiny. Let me tell you about my son. Leroy was special from the beginning. Not in the way all mothers think their children are special, though I certainly thought that too. But genuinely special. He never complained. Not once. Not when we had ramen for dinner 4 nights in a row. Not when he couldn't have the expensive sneakers the other kids wore. Not when his birthday parties were just us and Aunt Rita, because I couldn't afford more. He just helped. At 6 years old, he'd pack his own lunch for school so I could sleep an extra 20 minutes. At 10, he'd start dinner when he got home so I wouldn't have to cook after working all day. At 14, he got a part-time job and insisted on contributing to groceries. Mom, he'd say when I tried to refuse his money, we're a team. Teams help each other. And academically, brilliant. Straight A's. Honor roll. National Merit Scholar. He taught himself to code at 12. Built his first website at 13. Had colleges recruiting him before he finished junior year. He got into MIT. Full ride. I cried for 3 days straight when the acceptance letter came. My boy. My teenage pregnancy. Statistic. My he'll never amount to anything child. Going to MIT. Leroy graduated MIT at 19. 19. Computer science degree. Job offers from Google, Microsoft, Facebook. But he turned them all down. I'm starting my own company, he announced. I almost had a heart attack. Baby, those are stable jobs. Good money. Benefits. Why would you? Because I can do more, Mom. I have an idea. A good one. And I want to build something that's mine. I couldn't argue with that. Because wasn't that exactly what I'd taught him? To build. To create. To refuse to accept limitations. So I supported him. Used my real estate connections to help him network. Introduced him to potential investors. Watched him work 18-hour days building something from nothing. Just like I had. Within a year, his company was profitable. Within 2 years, he was making more money than I'd ever seen. Software solutions for small businesses. Something about cloud integration and user interfaces that I barely understood but nodded along to whenever he explained it. But I understood the numbers. And the numbers said my 19-year-old son was a millionaire. And yet, he still lived with me. In the mansion I'd bought in LA, my ultimate, I made it purchase. 5 bedrooms. Pool. Guest house. Chandelier in the foyer that cost more than my first car. Baby, I told him, you can afford your own place now. You don't have to stay with your old mom. He'd just smile and say, why would I leave? You're my favorite person. That's who Leroy was. Brilliant. Successful. Wealthy beyond his years. But still my boy. Still the kid who valued family above everything. Still the young man who called me every day when he traveled, who never missed our Sunday brunches, who looked at me like I'd hung the moon. I thought I knew him completely. I was wrong. April 1996. Leroy had been acting strange for weeks. Always on his phone. Smiling at texts. Coming home late with vague explanations about business dinners. Then he missed our Sunday brunch. Our sacred Sunday brunch that we'd maintained since he was 5 years old. I knew something was up. So I cornered him. We're doing our monthly mother-son date, I announced. This Friday. No excuses. No business emergencies. Just you and me. He couldn't say no to that. We met at Bella Vista, our favorite restaurant. The fancy one where we'd celebrated every major milestone, his high school graduation, his MIT acceptance, his company's first profitable quarter. White tablecloths. Candlelight. Waiters who described each ingredient like they were reciting poetry. But that night, my confident, successful son looked shy. He kept fidgeting with his napkin, avoiding my eyes. The behavior of a child who knows he's about to reveal something that might disappoint his mother. Baby, I said, reaching across the table, you've never been shy on our mother-son dates. What's going on? He took a deep breath. Mom, I'm seeing someone. My heart lifted. Finally. Leroy had dated sporadically in college. Nothing serious, just casual relationships that never seemed to go anywhere. Part of me had worried he was too focused on work, too devoted to me, to let anyone else in. That's wonderful, I said, genuine happiness flooding through me. Baby, I'm so glad you're happy. Tell me about her. Is she nice? Does she treat you well? She does, Mom. She's amazing. We're really happy together. That's all I want for you, baby. Happiness. I squeezed his hand. When do I get to meet this mysterious woman? Soon, he promised, but something in his voice made me wonder what he wasn't saying. How old is she? I asked, mother's intuition kicking in. He hesitated. 38. I blinked. 38? Baby, that's almost 20 years older than you. 19 years, he corrected quietly. And I know how it sounds, Mom, but age is just a number. She's incredible. Smart, kind, successful. She makes me happy. I wanted to object, to list all the reasons this was concerning. But I looked at my son, this brilliant, mature, successful man who just happened to still be 19, and I saw something I recognized. The look of someone in love. Real love. Not infatuation. Not a phase. Love. Okay, I finally said. If she makes you happy, then I'm happy. I hope she's good to you, baby. You deserve someone who sees how special you are. She does, Mom. She really does. Then I can't wait to meet her. I meant it. At least I thought I did. The next week, I was traveling for work. The biggest deal of my career, a commercial property sale that would net me a commission bigger than my first 5 years in real estate combined. Meetings in San Francisco. Negotiations. Contract reviews. The buyer's legal team was supposedly the best in California. Then I walked into that conference room and saw her. Auburn hair, shorter now, styled professionally, but unmistakable. A tailored suit that screamed success. Blue eyes that met mine and widened with recognition. Anna McCoy. No, Anna McCoy Wallace, according to the nameplate in front of her. She'd gotten married, and apparently divorced, given she was using a hyphenated name. Marsha. Her voice was exactly as I remembered. Soft but confident. Anna. For a moment, the entire conference room faded. We were 17 again, sitting at that cafeteria table. Before Vernon. Before pregnancy. Before life got complicated. The deal took 3 days to finalize. Anna was brilliant, sharp, thorough, catching details others missed. She protected her client while being fair to mine. Professional and kind. Just like the girl who'd sat with me when no one else would. After we signed the final documents, she approached me. Marsha, It's so good to see you. I've thought about you so many times over the years. Me too, I admitted. Would you want to grab drinks? Catch up properly. How could I say no? We met at the hotel bar. Soft lighting. Jazz music. The kind of place where successful women went to decompress after closing deals. Anna arrived first, already at a corner table with 2 glasses of wine waiting. We talked for hours. I told her everything. About Vernon disappearing. About raising Leroy alone. About working 3 jobs and going to school and fighting my way out of poverty one exhausted day at a time. About building my career. About buying that mansion as proof that I'd made it. About my brilliant son who'd exceeded every dream I'd ever had for him. This is my boy, I said, pulling out the photo I always carried. It was old, Leroy at 5 years old, gap-toothed and grinning, holding his first day of kindergarten sign that we'd made together the night before. My favorite picture. The one that reminded me why I'd fought so hard. Anna studied it, her expression soft. He's beautiful, Marsha. Absolutely beautiful. You should be so proud. I am. Every single day. I tucked the photo back into my wallet. He's my whole world. Then I asked about her life. I'd always imagined Anna with the perfect story. Married to a lawyer or doctor. Beautiful house. 2.5 children. The American dream wrapped in designer clothes. No, she said, and I heard sadness creep into her voice. Just heartbreaks and men who didn't work out. I'm sorry. She shrugged. It is what it is. I focused on my career instead. Built my firm. Made partner. Threw myself into work because that, at least, didn't disappoint me. No husband. Married briefly in my late 20s. Divorced 2 years later. He wanted someone who'd give up her career and have babies. I wanted. She paused. Something else. But then her face transformed. The sadness evaporated, replaced by something I hadn't seen in her expression all night. Joy. Real, unguarded joy. But I'm in a beautiful relationship right now, she said, her voice soft and full of wonder. Actually, I'm meeting his mother soon. I'm, honestly, a little nervous about it. Why nervous? I'm sure you'll be amazing. She laughed. Because she's important to him. More important than anyone. And I want her to like me, to see that I'm good for her son. I'm sure she will, I said warmly. Any mother would be lucky to have you as a daughter-in-law. Thank you. That means a lot. She reached for her phone. Here, let me show you. My phone rang. Leroy. Excuse me, I said to Anna. It's my son. I stepped away from the table, answered. Hi, baby. Everything okay? Hey, Mom. Yeah, everything's fine. Just wanted to check on you. How'd the deal go? Closed it. Big commission coming our way. That's my mom. I could hear the pride in his voice. Are you celebrating? Actually having drinks with an old friend right now. From high school, can you believe it? That's great, Mom. I'm glad. Don't stay out too late, though. Yes, baby. Love you. Love you too, Mom. I returned to the table, smiling. Anna had already paid the bill. I should get going, she said, gathering her things. Early flight tomorrow. But, Marsha, it was so good to see you. Let's not lose touch again, okay? 20 years is too long. Never again. I promised, pulling her into a hug. She felt the same, smelled the same perfume, something floral and expensive. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. Look at what you've built. You're incredible. So are you. We pulled apart, and she smiled. That same warm smile from high school. Talk soon? Absolutely. I watched her leave, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Like maybe I hadn't lost everything from my past after all. I flew home the next day, exhausted but happy. The deal was done. I'd reconnected with Anna. Life felt good. Leroy wouldn't stop talking about his girlfriend. Every conversation somehow circled back to her. How smart she was. How kind. How she challenged him intellectually. How happy he was, truly, deeply happy. I'd never seen him like this. My son, who'd always been focused, driven, serious beyond his years. He was giddy, like a teenager experiencing first love. It was adorable. When do I get to meet this mysterious woman? I finally asked on Thursday. Sunday, he said immediately. I want to bring her for dinner. I want you to meet her, Mom. She's special. Really special. My heart swelled. Okay. Sunday dinner. I'll cook all your favorites. You don't have to do all that. Yes, I do. This is important. You're important. She's important. So Sunday dinner with all the fixings. He hugged me tight. Thanks, Mom. You're going to love her. If she makes you this happy, I already do. Saturday. I cleaned the house top to bottom. Sunday morning I started cooking. My special roast chicken with herbs and lemon. Collard greens cooked low and slow with smoked turkey. Mac and cheese, the real kind, not from a box, with 4 different cheeses and a breadcrumb topping. Sweet potato casserole with pecans and brown sugar. Cornbread from scratch. And for dessert, sweet potato pie, Leroy's absolute favorite. I set the table with the good china. The set I'd bought after my first 6-figure year, proof that I'd made it far enough to own things my mother could never afford. Crystal wine glasses. Cloth napkins. Flowers in the center. Everything perfect. I bought wine, expensive wine, the kind that came with a sommelier's recommendation. I changed my outfit 3 times, wanting to look maternal but successful, welcoming but impressive. This was my son's first serious girlfriend. The woman who made him light up when he talked about her. Who made my serious, work-focused boy giddy with happiness. I wanted everything to be perfect. 7 p.m. exactly. The doorbell rang. I heard Leroy rush to answer it from upstairs, his footsteps thundering down like when he was a child racing to answer the door on Christmas morning. I smoothed my dress, checked my reflection in the hallway mirror one last time, took a deep breath, turned toward the foyer with my warmest smile. I heard Leroy's voice, bright with excitement. Mom, I want you to meet someone very special. I walked into view and saw her. Auburn hair, now with subtle highlights, professionally styled. Blue eyes that met mine with an expression that shifted from happiness to shock to something like horror. That smile, the same one that had saved me in high school. Anna McCoy, my best friend. The girl who'd show me kindness when no one else would. The woman I'd just had drinks with days ago. The woman I'd told about my son. Shown that picture of 5-year-old Leroy, standing in my foyer, holding my son's hand. Mom, Leroy said, oblivious to the earthquake happening in front of him, his voice full of love and pride. This is Anna. Time stopped. I'm not being dramatic. Time literally stopped. I could see Anna's chest rising and falling too fast, panic in her eyes. I could see Leroy's smile starting to falter, confusion creeping in. I could hear the wine glass in my hand beginning to slip. And I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't process what I was seeing. The glass fell. I watched it happen in slow motion, my fingers releasing, the crystal tumbling, the red wine arcing through the air like blood. Crash. Glass shattered across my perfect hardwood floors. Wine splattered across my perfect table setting, red spreading like a wound. No. The word came out of me involuntarily, barely a whisper. Then louder. No. Mom. Leroy stepped toward me. Mom, what? No, no, no. I stumbled backward, my hand over my mouth. This couldn't be happening. This was a nightmare. A cruel joke. A punishment for something I'd done in a past life. Not Anna. Anyone but Anna. Marsha. Anna's voice was small, breaking. But I couldn't look at her. Couldn't stand to see the woman who'd been my best friend, who I'd just shared my life story with, who I told about my son, who'd known. She'd known. That picture I showed her. 5-year-old Leroy. She knew who he was and she'd said nothing. I'm sorry, I gasped out. I'm sorry, I can't. And I ran. Out of the foyer. Past Leroy calling my name. Past Anna's stricken face. Into my bedroom, where I collapsed on the floor. And shattered. Leroy found me 20 minutes later. sitting on my bedroom floor, knees pulled to my chest, mascara running down my face in black rivers. Mom. He knelt beside me, his voice gentle but desperate. Mom, please talk to me. What just happened? Why did you? I'm sorry, I said, my voice hollow. I'm sorry for ruining your dinner. For making a scene. I don't care about the dinner. His voice cracked. I care about you. About what just happened. You looked at Anna like she was my friend. I whispered. Silence. What? Anna. She was my best friend in high school. I looked up at him, saw the confusion in his face. She was the only person who was kind to me when everyone else made my life hell. The only friend I had. And now she's... I couldn't finish. She's my girlfriend, Leroy said quietly. She's too old for you. The words came out harsh, desperate, the first thing my brain could grasp onto. She's way too old for you, Leroy. She's 38. She was in high school with me. Do you understand that? High school. But I love her, Mom. Those 4 words. So simple. So impossible. So completely devastating. She's too old, I repeated, louder now, standing up. Baby, listen to me. I know you think you love her, but this isn't right. She's almost 20 years older than you. She knew who you were, she saw your picture, I showed it to her, and she still... No, Mom. His voice was firm now, hurt edging in. Don't do that. Don't make this about her manipulating me or tricking me or whatever you're thinking. I'm not a child. You're 19. I'm a grown man. I run a successful company. I make my own decisions. And I love her. You think you love her. Don't tell me what I think. His voice rose and I flinched. Leroy never yelled. Never. I know what I feel. I know what's in my heart. And I love Anna. Really, truly love her. She's my age, Leroy. So what? His eyes were red now, tears threatening. So, what if she's older? Age doesn't define love. She makes me happy, Mom. Happier than I've ever been. She challenges me, supports me, sees me for who I am, not just what I've accomplished. She knew. My voice dropped to barely a whisper. She knew who you were. Leroy froze. What? The picture I carry. Of you at 5 years old. I showed it to her. Just a few days ago. We had drinks and I told her about you, and I showed her that picture. And she knew Leroy. She knew you were my son. And she didn't tell me. Didn't say anything. She knew and she still. I couldn't continue. Because the betrayal crashed over me fresh. Anna knew. She'd looked at that picture of my 5-year-old son. Recognized him. And said nothing. Let me talk about him like he was just my boy, not her boyfriend. Sat there smiling while I gushed about his success. And never once said, Marsha, I need to tell you something. Leroy left my room without another word. I heard his footsteps down the hall. Heard the front door open. Heard Anna's voice muffled. Leroy, I'm so sorry. Heard him say something I couldn't make out. Then silence. Deep, terrible silence. I stayed in my room the rest of the night. Didn't eat. Didn't clean up the broken glass and spilled wine. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how my life had just imploded. Anna McCoy. My son. Together. It was impossible. It was wrong. But was it? The question crept in unwanted. If I didn't know Anna, if she was just some 38-year-old woman Leroy had met and fallen for, would I be this upset? Yes, part of me insisted. The age difference alone. But another part whispered, you were 17 when you got pregnant. Who are you to judge? Leroy is brilliant, mature, successful beyond his years. And Anna was kind. Anna was smart. Anna had saved me when I had nothing. But she knew. She knew and she didn't tell you. That was the betrayal that cut deepest. Days turned into weeks. Leroy and I lived in the same house, but existed in different worlds. He'd leave early for work, come home late, retreat to his room. The few times we crossed paths in the kitchen or hallway, he'd give me a curt nod and keep walking. Our Sunday brunches stopped. Our monthly dates disappeared. Our daily phone calls when he traveled gone. The warmth that had defined our relationship for 19 years evaporated like it had never existed. And it was killing me. I'd built my entire life around my son. Every decision I'd made for nearly 2 decades had been about him, giving him opportunities, proving we could make it, being a team. Now I was losing him. And the worst part? I knew it was my fault. I'd see him sneaking out late at night, dressed nice, smiling at his phone, going to see her, building a life that didn't include me. One morning, I found a note on the kitchen counter. His handwriting. Brief. Devastating. Mom, I'm looking at apartments. I think it's time I moved out. 10 words that felt like a death sentence. I couldn't lose him. Not over this. Not over anything. Leroy was my whole world. My reason for everything. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went to see Anna. Her apartment was in a nice building downtown. Modern. Clean lines. The kind of place successful people lived. I stood outside her door for 5 full minutes before I could make myself knock. She opened it. And the look on her face. Surprise. Fear. Hope. Guilt. All of it crashing together. Marsha, she breathed. Can we talk? She nodded and stepped aside. We sat in her minimalist living room. Everything carefully chosen. Tasteful. Like Anna herself. Coffee went cold between us. Neither of us touched it. You're right, Anna said finally, breaking the silence. About everything. I'm too old for him. This whole thing is crazy. I've tried to break up with him, Marsha. I swear I have. You've tried to break up with him? She nodded, tears already forming in her eyes. Multiple times. Every time I see how this is affecting you, affecting his relationship with you, I tell him we should end it. That I'm too old. That he should be with someone his own age. That his mother is right. And he won't let me. She laughed, but it was broken, sad. He just looks at me with those eyes, your eyes, Marsha. He has your eyes, and tells me he loves me. That age doesn't matter. That he's not giving up. My stubborn boy, I whispered. So stubborn, Anna agreed, and despite everything, we both almost smiled. I don't know what to do. My hands are tied. I love him, Marsha. God help me, I love him so much it scares me. But I don't want to be the reason he loses you. You're his mother. You're everything to him. And honestly, she continued, her voice dropping, you're my best friend. Or you were. Or I hoped, she broke off. I don't want to lose either of you. We sat in silence. Then I asked the question I needed answered. When did you know? That he was my son. The 3rd date, she admitted. He showed me a picture. That same one you carry. Him at 5 years old with that sign. And suddenly, everything clicked. His age. His last name. The way he talked about his mother with such pride and love. I knew. Why didn't you tell me? When we had drinks? I tried. Her voice cracked. God, Marsha, I tried. I was reaching for my phone to show you his picture when yours rang. And then you had to go and I froze. I didn't know how to say it. How to explain that I was dating your son. Your baby. The boy whose kindergarten picture you've carried for 14 years. And after? I tried to end it with Leroy that night. I told him I couldn't do this. That it was too complicated. That I'd reconnected with an old friend, and it turned out to be his mother, and this was all too much. What did he say? He said he didn't care. That the past didn't matter. That all that mattered was how we felt about each other. She wiped her eyes. He said he loved me, and he asked me if I loved him. And I. You did. I finished quietly. I do, she whispered. More than I've ever loved anyone. He's kind and brilliant and funny and stubborn as hell. He challenges me. Makes me laugh. Makes me want to be better. And the way he loves, Marsha, God, the way he loves. With his whole heart. Like he learned from the best teacher in the world. Something cracked inside my chest. Because I recognized it. The way Anna talked about my son. It was how I talked about him. With pride. With awe. With the kind of love that changes you fundamentally. Do you love him? I asked. Yes, she said without hesitation. More than I've ever loved anyone. More than I thought I was capable of loving. And he loves you? He says he does. And I believe him. I've tried not to. Tried to convince myself he's just infatuated or confused. But Marsha, when he looks at me, she broke off, crying. He looks at me the way every woman hopes to be looked at, like I'm his whole world. I looked at Anna. Really looked at her. This woman who'd been brave enough to defy her entire social circle to be my friend. Who'd sat with me at that loser table when it cost her everything. Who'd defended me when the bullying got worse. Who'd shown me that kindness existed. And I thought, if anyone is going to love my son, shouldn't it be someone like her? I know my son, I said finally. Once Leroy sets his mind on something, there's no stopping him. I learned that when he was 6 years old and decided he wanted to read Harry Potter. Spent 3 months struggling through that book, refusing any help until he finished the whole thing. Anna smiled through her tears. He told me that story, said it taught him that anything worth doing is worth the struggle. Of course he did. I almost laughed. He's not going to give you up, Anna. You know that, right? I know. And if I keep fighting this... I took a shaky breath. I'm going to lose him. I'm already losing him. I don't want that, Anna whispered. Marsha, I don't want to be the reason you lose your son. If I have to walk away... Would you? I interrupted. Could you? Really? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't think I could. I've tried. I keep trying. But every time she broke. I can't. I love him too much. And I understood. Because wasn't that exactly how I felt about Leroy? That losing him was unthinkable? That loving him was the only choice that made sense, even when it was hard. Then I guess, I said slowly, hardly believing the words coming out of my mouth, we figure out how to make this work. Anna's head snapped up. What? You love him. He loves you. And he's too stubborn to let either of you go. I smiled sadly. That's my son. Once he decides something, the universe itself has to bend. Marsha. You're a good woman, Anna. You saved me once. Maybe, I paused. Maybe you're meant to save him too. To love him the way he deserves. To be the partner he needs. Are you sure? No. But I was sure of this. I loved my son more than my fear. More than my discomfort with the age difference. More than the weirdness of my best friend dating my child. I'm sure, I said. I'm giving you both my blessing. I called Leroy that night. Can you come home? We need to talk. He arrived an hour later, guarded, expecting another fight. We sat in the living room, the same room where I'd taught him to read, where we'd had 1,000 conversations, where everything important in our lives had happened. I talked to Anna, I said. His eyes widened. You did. I did. And we had a long conversation. About everything. About you. About her. About us. Mom, Let me finish, baby. I took his hand. I was scared. Scared of losing you. Scared that you were making a mistake. Scared that the age difference would hurt you somehow. But mostly I was just scared. Mom, you could never lose me. Never. I know that now. I squeezed his hand. And I know Anna. I knew her before you did, actually. She was my best friend when I had no one. She's kind and brave and smart. And if she makes you happy, really, truly happy, then that's all that matters to me. I watched my son's face transform, the tension melting away, the guarded expression replaced by something like joy mixed with disbelief. Are you saying, I'm giving you my blessing, both of you. I want you to be happy, baby. And if Anna makes you happy, then I'm happy. He pulled me into a hug so tight I couldn't breathe, and I felt his shoulders shake with silent sobs. Thank you, Mom, he whispered. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, baby. That's all that matters. Your happiness. Always. 3 weeks later, Leroy showed me a ring. Elegant. Simple. A single diamond that caught the light like a promise. I'm going to propose, he said, nervous energy radiating from him. My 19-year-old son. Proposing to my 38-year-old best friend. It should have felt wrong. But somehow, it felt exactly right. Do you think she'll say yes? He asked, vulnerability in his eyes that reminded me of when he was 5. I thought about Anna. About the woman who'd stood by a bullied teenage girl when it cost her everything. Who'd tried to walk away from the man she loved to protect our relationship. Who'd proven again and again that her heart was as beautiful as everything else about her. Yes, I said. I think she will. You really think so? I know so, baby. She loves you. Really loves you. I can see it. I love her too, Mom. So much. I know you do. And that's all that matters. He proposed at Bella Vista, our favorite restaurant. The place where we'd celebrated every milestone. Anna told me later, crying and laughing at the same time, that she couldn't even speak when he got down on one knee. Just nodded and cried and kissed him until the entire restaurant erupted in applause. She called me that night. Marsha, Huey. I know, I said, smiling through my own tears. Congratulations, Anna. Really? I'm so happy for both of you. Thank you. For understanding, for accepting this, for giving us your blessing. It means everything. You mean everything. You're going to be my daughter-in-law, I said, the reality hitting me. My best friend is going to be my daughter-in-law. Is that okay? Nervous again. It's more than okay. It's perfect. The wedding was beautiful, small, intimate, just the people who mattered most. Held in my backyard. The mansion I'd bought as proof that we'd made it. Now hosting the wedding of my son to my best friend. Life really does come full circle. Anna wore ivory. Simple and elegant. Her auburn hair in soft waves. Leroy wore a tuxedo, looking so grown up I could barely reconcile him with a 5-year-old boy whose picture I still carried. I stood next to Anna's mother during the ceremony. A woman I'd been terrified to meet. Would she judge me? Blame me? Resent that her daughter was marrying someone so young? But she'd taken my hand and whispered, He's special, your son. Anyone can see it. Anna's lucky. So is he, I'd whispered back. I watched them exchange vows. Promise to love each other through everything. Promise to build a life together. Promise to be partners in every sense. And I cried. Not sad tears. Happy tears. Grateful tears. Because my son, my miracle baby, my reason for everything had found love. Real love. The kind that challenges you and supports you and makes you better. And the woman he'd found it with? She was someone I'd known for decades. Someone who'd proven her character when we were 17. Someone I trusted with my whole heart. If I could have chosen anyone in the world to love my son, it would have been Anna. They moved into the mansion after the wedding. Anna's apartment downtown felt too small for married life, she said. And the mansion was big enough for all of us. So we became this unconventional family. A mother, her son, and his wife who was also her best friend. It shouldn't have worked. But it did. Sunday brunches resumed. But now there were 3 of us. Me, Leroy, and Anna. Laughing over pancakes and coffee. Sharing stories. Planning our weeks. Being family. Leroy still called me every day when he traveled. But now he'd also put Anna on the phone. Your son won't stop talking about you, she'd laugh. I think he loves you more than me. Impossible, I'd say. Have you seen the way he looks at you? We'd laugh. And it felt easy. Natural. Right. Sometimes I thought about Vernon. The boy who'd disappeared when I needed him most. Who'd abandoned his son before he was even born. Who'd missed everything. Leroy's first steps. His first words. His first day of school. His graduation from MIT. His business success. His wedding. All of it. Vernon never came back. Never tried to find us. Never met his son. Never knew that the baby he'd run from grew up to be brilliant, successful, loved. His loss. Truly. Because Leroy, my stubborn, brilliant, loving son, he turned out to be everything I'd hoped for and more. Not in spite of Vernon's absence, but because of what we built together. Just the two of us. Against every odd. People ask me sometimes, when they hear the story, when they learn that my best friend from high school is now my daughter-in-law, that there's a 19-year age gap, that this whole situation is unconventional. Are you okay with it? They ask, usually with that judgy tone that suggests I should be. And I tell them the truth. I'm more than okay. I'm grateful. Grateful that my son found someone who sees him the way I do, as extraordinary. Grateful that life gave me back the friend I'd lost. Grateful that love proved to be bigger than age, bigger than history, bigger than fear. But the age difference, they start. And I stop them. My son is 19, but he's not a child. He's built a multi-million-dollar company. He's brilliant, mature, thoughtful. And Anna? She's never treated him as anything less than an equal. Never tried to control him or mother him. She's his partner, his equal, his love. But what will people think? I don't care what people think, I say. And I mean it. Because I spent too many years caring what people thought. Caring that I was a pregnant teenager. Caring that I was a single mother. Caring that I didn't fit into the boxes society created. I'm done caring about that. All I care about is this. My son is happy. Really, genuinely, soul-deep happy. And isn't that what every mother wants? They say your past never truly leaves you. That the people who shaped you will always be part of your story. For years, I thought that was a curse. That being connected to your past meant being trapped by it. That the girl I was at 17, bullied, pregnant, abandoned, would always define me. But I was wrong. Because my past didn't come back to trap me. It came back to complete me. Anna, the girl who'd saved me when I had nothing. She came back into my life not as a memory but as family. My son married my best friend. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, that's exactly how it was always meant to be. Because love doesn't follow rules. It doesn't care about age or history or what's appropriate. It just is. And when it's real, when it's the kind of love that challenges you and supports you and makes you better, you don't fight it. You celebrate it. 2025. Leroy is 48 now. Still brilliant. Still successful. Still my boy. Anna is 67. Still beautiful. Still kind. Still my best friend. They've been married for 29 years. 29 years of proof that we made the right choice. They never had children. They decided early on that they didn't need them. We have each other, Anna told me once. And we have you. That's enough. And it is. Our Sunday brunches continue. 3 of us. Laughing. Sharing stories. Being family. The unconventional, beautiful family we built from second chances and forgiveness and love. My name is Marsha F. Dennard. I'm 71 years old. I was 17 when I got pregnant, 18 when I became a mother, and everything that came after. The struggles, the victories, the love, the second chances. Everything led me here, to this life, this family, this love. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Not the bullying, not Vernon, not the poverty, not the struggle, because it all led to this moment. Sitting at Sunday brunch with my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law, my best friend, laughing about something silly, drinking coffee that's too strong, planning our week, being together. They say the past never leaves you. They're right. But sometimes the past doesn't haunt you. Sometimes it comes back to show you that every thread of your life, every person, every choice, every struggle, was always connected, just waiting for the right moment to weave together into something beautiful. My son married my best friend, and we all lived happily ever after, together. If you enjoyed the story, make sure you hit subscribe. It's free, and it tells YouTube you want more stories like this.